The discovery. The rust-colored dust of Kepler 438 clung to Dr. Maya Reeves' boots as she trudged across the alien landscape. 3 suns blazed overhead, casting multiple shadows that danced around her like ghostly companions. Sweat trickled down her face inside her helmet, the environmental controls of her exosuit struggling against the harsh conditions. "Base, this is Reeves," she spoke into her comm. "I'm approaching the anomaly now." Static crackled in response. The geological formation that had brought her to this forsaken corner of the exoplanet was playing havoc with communications. The University of Mars had funded this expedition on a shoestring budget, a last-chance opportunity for a xenoarchaeologist whose theories about ancient alien civilizations had made her an academic pariah. Maya checked her scanner again. The readings were impossible. A perfect geometric structure buried beneath millions of years of sediment, composed of an unknown alloy that shouldn't exist according to the periodic table. It defied every natural explanation. She activated her ground-penetrating radar, watching as 3-dimensional holograms formed above her wrist display. The structure wasn't just a simple object. It was intricate, with components that seemed to shift position even as the scanner mapped them. "What are you?" she whispered. Her excavation drone, affectionately named Digby, hovered nearby, its multiple appendages ready to begin work. With trembling fingers, Maya marked the precise coordinates and stepped back. "Digby, begin extraction protocol. Minimum force, maximum preservation." The drone chirped acknowledgement and descended to the surface. Its precision lasers cut through the rocky soil with surgical precision, vaporizing material at the molecular level without generating heat that might damage what lay beneath. It was painstaking work, and Maya settled into a nearby outcropping to wait. Hours passed. The triplet suns began their slow descent toward the horizon, painting the sky in impossible colors that human eyes had never evolved to fully appreciate. Maya's water supply was running low, and base camp was a 2-hour trek back across treacherous terrain. Just as she was considering calling it a day, Digby's urgent alert tone pierced the silence. "Discovery protocol initiated," the drone's artificial voice announced. "Unknown object detected." Maya scrambled to her feet, heart pounding. She approached the shallow pit Digby had excavated and peered inside. There, nestled in soil undisturbed for perhaps millions of years, was an object no larger than her palm. It was neither metallic nor crystalline, but something else entirely, a material that seemed to absorb and reflect light simultaneously. Its surface was covered in intricate patterns that shifted before her eyes, rearranging themselves in ways that made her vision swim. "My God," she breathed. Every instinct told Maya to follow protocol, to document, to analyze from a distance, to report back before taking any action. But something else, something primal and inexplicable, drew her hand forward. The moment her gloved fingertips touched the artifact, the world changed. Light exploded outward from the object, not blinding but revealing, as though Maya had spent her entire life seeing through a dirty window that had suddenly been wiped clean. The patterns on the artifact's surface flowed up her arm, not like liquid, but like living mathematics, equations that rewrote themselves into her skin through the material of her suit. Maya gasped, not in pain, but in astonishment. Information flooded her consciousness, not as words or images, but as pure understanding. The artifact was ancient beyond comprehension, created by a civilization that had transcended physical form billions of years before the first human ancestors crawled from Earth's primordial oceans. And it was a key, a test, a weapon of unimaginable power. Across the galaxy, in that precise moment, alarms began to sound. On worlds humans had never seen, ancient monitoring systems roared to life. Species that had spent millennia watching and waiting suddenly turned their gaze toward an insignificant yellow star system and the primitive bipeds who had just changed the cosmic equation. Maya collapsed to her knees, overwhelmed by the sudden expansion of her consciousness. The artifact pulsed in her hand, synchronizing with her heartbeat. Through the chaotic flood of information, one truth emerged with terrifying clarity. She had just placed humanity at the center of a cosmic test it might not survive. The first attack came without warning. A beam of coherent energy lanced down from orbit, striking the ground less than 50 meters from where Maya knelt. The blast should have vaporized her instantly, but the artifact flared, creating a dome of shimmering protection that absorbed the attack completely. Behind her, Digby let out an alarm series of beeps as its sensors detected multiple objects entering the atmosphere. Whatever had fired upon her was sending reinforcements. Base, Maya shouted into her comm, scrambling to her feet. Emergency evac. I'm under attack. This time, the response came through clearly, too clearly. The voice wasn't from her research team. Dr. Reeves, you need to move. Now. The voice was calm, authoritative, and completely unfamiliar. Head northwest toward the ridge. You'll find a ravine. Follow it. Help is coming. Who is this? How do you? There's no time. Those aren't research vessels entering the atmosphere. They're Archean hunters, and they've come for what you're holding. Move. Now. The urgency in the stranger's voice propelled Maya forward. She clutched the artifact to her chest and ran, her exosuit augmenting her movements as she sprinted across the alien terrain. Behind her, more energy beams struck the ground, the artifact's protection extending just far enough to keep her alive. The ridge loomed ahead, a jagged tear in the landscape. Maya scrambled up its slope, loose rocks sliding beneath her boots. As she crested the top, she saw the promised ravine below, and hovering within it, a vessel unlike any human craft she'd ever seen. Sleek and predatory, it hummed with power that made the air around it waver. A hatch opened in its side, and a figure emerged, humanoid but unmistakably not human. Its skin had a bluish tint, with geometric patterns etched across its visible flesh that reminded Maya eerily of the artifact she clutched. Dr. Maya Reeves, the being called up to her. I am Sentinel Toran. If you wish to live, if you wish your species to survive, you will come with me now. Maya hesitated at the ridge's edge. Behind her, the whine of approaching craft grew louder. The artifact pulsed against her chest, and somehow she knew it was urging her forward. Why should I trust you? She called down. The being's expression shifted into what might have been a smile. Because unlike those who follow, I believe your species deserves the chance the Crucible offers. As if to punctuate his words, a massive explosion tore through the area where Maya had made her discovery. Her research camp, her years of work, vaporized in an instant. She made her decision and began descending toward the waiting ship. Inside, the vessel was a marvel of technology beyond human understanding. Surfaces shifted and reconfigured as they moved through them, adapting to their presence. Toran guided Maya to what appeared to be a command center, where curved displays showed multiple craft converging on their position. The Archons believed the Crucible was lost forever. Toran explained as he manipulated controls that responded to his thoughts rather than touch. They've spent millennia ensuring no emerging species would ever find it. And now you have. The ship rose smoothly, accelerating with a force that should have crushed Maya against the floor, yet she felt nothing. Through the viewports, she watched as the surface of Kepler 400 and 38K fell away, revealing the vastness of space beyond. What is this thing? Maya asked, opening her hand to reveal the artifact, which continued to pulse in rhythm with her heart. The patterns that had transferred to her skin now glowed beneath the surface of her suit. We call it the Crucible, Toran replied, his eyes, with pupils like fractal patterns, fixed on the object. It is a test, a key, and potentially the end of everything. It has chosen you, Dr. Reeves. Whether that dooms your species or elevates it remains to be seen. Behind them, energy weapons fired from the pursuing craft. Toran's ship shimmered as the attacks dissipated harmlessly against its defenses. The Archons fear what humans might become if given access to the Crucible's knowledge. Toran continued. They believe your kind is too unpredictable, too chaotic to be trusted with such power. And what do you believe? Maya asked. Toran's expression softened. I believe that unpredictability is precisely what the universe needs. The Archons and others like them have stagnated, bound by rigid thinking and ancient protocols. The Crucible seeks catalysts for change. The ship shuddered as a particularly powerful blast struck it. Damage reports flashed across the displays in a language Maya shouldn't have understood, yet somehow did. We cannot outrun them forever, Toran said grimly. The Crucible has begun bonding with you, but the process is incomplete. If they capture you now, they will simply eliminate you and ensure the Crucible remains dormant. What do we do? Maya asked, sudden determination replacing her fear. We need to reach your home system. Earth must be warned, and preparations must be made. The Crucible's activation has set forces in motion that cannot be stopped. All paths now lead to either transcendence or extinction for your species. The ship lurched violently as another blast struck it. Systems flickered, and Toran worked frantically to stabilize their course. Maya, he said, using her first name for the first time. The Crucible is showing you possibilities, yes. Futures, pathways, knowledge beyond your current understanding. She nodded, her mind still reeling from the influx of information that continued to pour from the artifact. Focus on that knowledge. The Crucible is not just choosing you, it is testing you. How you respond in the coming hours will determine everything. As Maya closed her eyes and concentrated on the artifact, she began to see it more clearly, not as an object, but as a nexus, a convergence point for countless possible futures. Humanity stood at a precipice, and she had become the fulcrum upon which their fate would balance. In that moment, as Toran's ship accelerated toward the edge of the Kepler system, with Archon hunters in pursuit, Dr. Maya Reeves understood that her life's work had not been in vain. She had sought evidence of ancient civilizations among the stars, hoping to prove humanity was not alone. Now she knew the truth was far more complex and terrifying. Not only were humans not alone, but they had just been thrust onto a cosmic stage they never knew existed. Players in a game whose rules they did not understand, holding a piece that could end the game entirely. And somehow, impossibly, it would be up to her to ensure humanity passed the test. The Crucible. 3 days later, Maya stood in the heart of Earth's most secure facility, buried deep beneath the Antarctic ice sheet. The room hummed with advanced technology. Quantum computers, reality mapping arrays, and defensive systems that represented the pinnacle of human achievement. Yet compared to the artifact that pulsed against her chest, they were little more than children's toys. You're saying these Archons are already in our solar system? General Helena Chen asked, her weathered face tight with concern. As head of Earth's Unified Defense Command, she had spent decades preparing for extraterrestrial threats, but nothing had readied her for this. 7 vessels crossed the heliopause 6 hours ago, confirmed Dr. Elias Okafor, Earth's leading genophysicist. Their technology is beyond anything we've ever encountered. There are others coming as well, Maya added, her voice distant. The patterns that had spread from the artifact now covered much of her body, glowing beneath her skin like living circuitry. The Sentinels, like Toran. The Collective. The Voidborn. All drawn by the Crucible's awakening. And they all want this artifact. Chen pressed. They want what it represents, Maya corrected. The Crucible is a test created by the precursors, a species so advanced they transcended physical reality billions of years ago. Before leaving our plane of existence, they created the Crucible as a measure of evolutionary potential. Toran, who had been granted conditional access to the facility, stepped forward. His alien features had caused a stir among the human staff, but his knowledge was too valuable to ignore. The Crucible appears at pivotal moments in a species' development, he explained. It tests not just technological advancement, but adaptability, creativity, moral reasoning, the qualities that determine whether a species will become a positive force in the universe or a destructive one. "And if we fail this test?" Chen asked. Maya and Toran exchanged glances. "Total extinction is one possibility," Toran said quietly. "But there are worse fates. The Crucible's power can be weaponized. If the Archons seize it, they would use it to ensure humanity never rises beyond its current state, perhaps even reducing Earth to a pre-technological condition." "Why?" Dr. Okafor demanded. "What threat do we pose?" "Potential," Maya answered, the word carrying weight beyond its syllables. "Human unpredictability, creativity, adaptability. These qualities terrify species like the Archons, who value order and control above all else." A junior officer burst into the room, face pale. "General, we have multiple unknown craft entering Earth orbit. They're not responding to communications, and they've disabled our defensive satellites." Chen turned to Maya. "What do we do?" Before Maya could respond, the artifact pulsed violently. The patterns on her skin flared, and she gasped as a new wave of information flooded her consciousness. Visions cascaded through her mind, humanity's potential futures spreading before her like branches of an infinite tree. "They're here," she whispered. Above the facility, beyond the thick ice and layers of security, the first Archean vessel took position. It was vast and angular, less a ship than a mobile fortress. From its central spire, a beam of coherent energy lanced downward, boring through Antarctic ice as though it were mist. Alarms blared throughout the facility. "Breach imminent," someone shouted. Maya's connection to the Crucible deepened in that moment of crisis. Time seemed to slow as her perception expanded. She could feel the Archons' determination, their absolute conviction that humanity must not be allowed to wield the Crucible's power. She could sense Toran's people, the Sentinels, positioned at the edge of the solar system, watching and waiting. And beyond them, other forces gathering, some curious, some fearful, all drawn by the cosmic significance of what was unfolding. "The facility cannot hold them," Toran said urgently. "Maya, the Crucible's bond with you is still forming. If they capture you now—" "I know," she interrupted, newfound certainty in her voice. "But I also know this isn't about just me anymore, or even just humanity. The Crucible chose Earth for a reason." The ceiling shuddered as the Archean weapon continued its inexorable descent toward them. Maya stepped into the center of the room, the artifact held before her like an offering. "The test isn't whether we can fight them," she announced. "It's whether we understand what the Crucible truly is." The artifact blazed in her hands, no longer merely reflecting light but generating it from within. The patterns on Maya's skin synchronized with its pulsations, creating a complex symphony of energy that filled the chamber. "What are you doing?" Chen demanded. "What the Crucible has been waiting for," Maya replied. "I'm making a choice." With deliberate calm, she pressed the artifact to her chest. Instead of remaining external, it began to merge with her, sinking beneath her skin as though it had always been part of her. The pain was excruciating yet exquisite, a transformation at the quantum level. Reality rippled around them. The facility, the approaching Archons, Earth itself, all seemed to exist in multiple states simultaneously, potentialities overlapping like transparent layers. "Maya," Toran called out, his voice distorted as though coming from across vast distances. She could barely hear him. The Crucible was showing her everything now. The complete test, the true purpose, the cosmic balance that hung in the balance. And most importantly, it showed her why humanity had been chosen. In species across the galaxy, the Crucible had found technological prowess, longevity, stability. But something had been missing. Something the precursors had valued above all else: the capacity for radical adaptation, for thinking beyond established patterns, for imagining what had never been. The human mind, chaotic, creative, contradictory, was a rarity in the cosmos. Where other species sought equilibrium, humans thrived on change. Where others built on certainty, humans leaped into the unknown. This quality, more than any technological achievement, was what the universe needed to evolve. The ceiling gave way. Archean forces descended into the chamber, their forms obscured by shimmering energy fields that warped reality around them. They moved with implacable purpose toward Maya. Stop. The command came not from any human throat, but from Maya herself, her voice carrying the harmonic resonance of the crucible. The Archons froze in place, bound by protocols older than their civilization. The test is complete, Maya announced. The crucible has made its choice. The lead Archon, a being of crystalline complexity, stepped forward. Impossible. No species has completed the crucible's test in 7 million years. Because you and others like you have ensured none were given the chance, Maya countered. You feared change more than stagnation. The precursors would be disappointed. Energy crackled around the Archon's form, rage made manifest. The precursors abandoned this reality. We maintained order in their absence. Order without growth is death, Maya replied, the words coming from somewhere beyond her conscious mind. The crucible doesn't test worthiness to rule. It tests worthiness to evolve. From her chest, where the artifact had merged with her flesh, light began to expand outward, not a weapon but a revelation. It touched each person in the room, each Archon, spreading outward through the facility, across the planet, into space itself. In that light was understanding. The crucible's true purpose was not destruction or domination, but connection. A bridge between what was and what could be. The Archon leader staggered backward, its crystalline form resonating with the frequency of the revelation. This was not foreseen. This outcome was calculated as impossible. That's humanity's specialty, Torrin said with something like pride. Achieving the impossible. Throughout the solar system, the approaching alien armadas halted their advance. The light from the crucible reached them all, carrying not commands but invitation, an opportunity to transcend ancient rivalries and stagnant thinking. In the Antarctic chamber, Maya stood transformed. The crucible had become part of her, not as a weapon or tool but as a catalyst. She was still human, still Maya Reeves, but also something more. A bridge between humanity and the wider cosmic community they were now irrevocably joining. What happens now? General Chen asked, her voice hushed with awe. Maya smiled. Now we begin the real work. The crucible isn't an ending. It's a beginning. Humanity has been recognized not as rulers or subjects, but as innovators, as catalysts for a new phase of cosmic evolution. The Archon leader, its initial hostility fading in the light of new understanding, inclined its crystalline form. For 7 million years, we have maintained the patterns established by the precursors. Perhaps it is time for new patterns to emerge. Not to replace the old, Maya said gently, but to build upon them. That's the true test of the crucible. Not whether we could defeat you, but whether we could show you a different path forward. Around them, reality stabilized. The multiple potentialities collapsed into a single timeline, not predetermined, but rich with possibilities. The crucible's light receded, though its presence remained, a subtle vibration in the quantum fabric of existence. In the days that followed, Earth became the focal point of an unprecedented cosmic conclave. Representatives from civilizations humans had never imagined gathered to witness what many were calling a miracle. The successful integration of the crucible with a species young enough to still embrace change. Maya, forever changed by her bond with the artifact, became humanity's first true ambassador to the stars. The knowledge flowing through her, tempered now, manageable, provided insights that accelerated human development not by centuries but by millennia. Yet the greatest gift of the crucible was not technological but philosophical. It had recognized in humanity something precious and rare, the ability to face the unknown with curiosity rather than fear, to imagine countless futures and then work to create them. They called us unpredictable, Maya told Torrin as they stood beneath Antarctic stars, watching vessels from a dozen alien civilizations hovering in peaceful formation above. They thought it was our weakness. And instead, it was your strength, the Sentinel replied. The Crucible didn't choose humanity because you were perfect. It chose you because you're perfectly imperfect, always questioning, always changing, never satisfied with what is when you can imagine what might be. Maya touched the place on her chest, where the artifact had merged with her being. It no longer pulsed visibly, but she could feel its presence, not controlling her but expanding her, connecting her to possibilities beyond human imagination. "We still have so much to learn," she said. Toren's expression shifted into what she now recognized as a smile. "Yes, and now, at last, the rest of us have something to learn from you." Above them, the cosmic conclave continued, not an ending but a beginning, a new chapter in a story as vast as the universe itself. Humanity had passed the test, not by conquering or submitting, but by showing the galaxy something it had forgotten how to value: the courage to change, the wisdom to adapt, and the audacity to imagine what had never been. The Crucible's light, now a part of Maya Reeves, and through her a part of humanity's shared destiny, would guide them forward into that uncharted future, not as conquerors or subjects, but as catalysts in a universe ready to evolve once more. Human creativity, once feared, would now help shape the cosmic future. And that, perhaps, had been the Precursor's plan all along.